I took all of this for granted. I grew up around the beach, all of this nature, all of this beauty. I took it all for granted because it just felt normal to me. And I didn't realize how much this environment would impact me until I actually needed it and needed it deeply as a part of my healing and a part of my ultimate care for myself. So I am, and that's what I want to talk about in today's video because I've talked about environment in some of my other videos. If you've been here with me over this 100-day journey that I'm doing on YouTube, and I've talked about how much environment impacts how we live and we work. And when I was talking about it previously, I was sharing from the lens of like your home, like your internal space, the space that you actually live in, and also your physical work environment. May that be a physical building, or if you work from home, and just how much that environment, the things in the environment, the people in the environment, the visuals that you see in your environment, how all that can impact you. And today I want to just talk about it from the lens of like your actual lived environment, like what is outside of you. Like, I am a Florida girl, born and raised. Like, I grew up here in Florida. I was always near the beach. As a kid, my family and I would go to the beach. Again, that was just like normal to me. And I just didn't realize how much it would impact me later on when I went through a hard season in life around my corporate career burnout. And again, like I'm a near water. I'm around water. Like, this coastal living life is just a part of who I am. And when I talk about this, I want, even if you don't live in a coastal area or you don't live around like lush greenery or whatever that may be, I just want you to start thinking about your environment and how that impacts how you live in your work. You might be taking your environment for granted like I did for many years, or you might be in a place of where you just probably need to start becoming aware of your environment and how that might impact how you live and you work, because it plays such a heavy part in the way we move throughout the world, the way we see the world, the way we go about our work and how we accomplish things and our goals and how we can achieve it. It has such a tremendous impact. And again, I didn't think about that before. And now, multiple years later, as I'm rebuilding this life, my environment plays such a key role. Like, me being out in nature, me going to the beach regularly. I wanted to take you guys on the beach with me today, but I'm still trying to figure out like my filming situation when I'm out there. Like, I took you with me to celebrate day 30 on the beach. And I just need to, when I'm out there, I need to do so. When I'm out there, I'm just like doing my thing, like walking, meditating, praying, like brainstorming. So I just need to be more aware of scouting. I need to like really scout out a space to shoot on the beach so I can shoot there a few times. But girl, so it is multiple hours later, same day, but multiple hours later. I had recorded this whole video out on my balcony this morning. And when I was finished, I go to the camera and only 4 minutes of the video had been recorded. And that was the beginning of a series of other events that took my day down the rabbit hole. I have cried at least 4 times today. And the thing is, it's like after I saw that the video had not recorded all, only 4 minutes, the part that you just saw out on the balcony, I was like, in my mind, I just chopped it up like, okay, I'll record the rest like later today, because I had a meeting I had to get to and, other things I had to be available for my work day. So that wasn't even like, I didn't let that like get me down, because again, I'm just trying to really just show up here, have conversations with you, not be perfect, just be authentic, show up as myself. And that's why I'm putting these two videos together. I'm not trying to be perfect or anything like that. But so the video didn't record. I start my workday, log in to start my workday. Just something in the work day just really set me off, and I had to go into immediate problem solving mode, which I just don't desire to start my day off that way. For work, it just really sets the day on a not so good path. So had to spend about an hour or so problem solving. And then I got some disappointing news on something I was really looking forward to, an opportunity. So like a contract that I was really looking forward to. And I was like, I could just see myself taking on this work. And it was super aligned, or the work was aligned, I would say. Again, I'm just really trying to sit in the season of what's meant for me is truly for me. So God must have other plans for me. But I was very disappointed with that. So it was like that on top of the problems. It was not my video not recording. Then the stuff that I had to immediately jump into problem solving mode with, then the disappointment for something that I was looking forward to. And I was just like all front loaded, all front loaded at the beginning of my day. So I ended up just finishing up some immediate work that I had to take care of. And then I went out into the environment, which is what I wanted to talk about in this video, because I feel like when my nervous system is on 10 like that, the thing that gives me immediate relief is being out in the environment. And that's what I went to do for the next several hours until I felt like I was calm. I spoke with a spiritual friend of mine, because I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you just feel like things are just coming like bam, 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 bam. And I'm in a season of where I'm like really focusing my relationship on God and really trying to prepare myself for something that I'm praying for and something that I know is His will. And when it was like multiple things, just like bam, bam, bam. I'm like, is this the enemy trying to knock me off my block? So I spoke with a spiritual friend of mine, and she was able to help provide me some direction on where I could feel like, just like she gave me some scripture and whatnot to read. So I was able to do that. Now here we are several hours later, and I'm back to record the video. And I just wanted to kind of fill in the gap here. I still want to talk about environment because that was the purpose of this video. That's actually what I went out in to do today. And your environment really can impact you positively and negatively. And specifically what I wanted to talk about today was like your external environment, like your surroundings, your your scenery, your landscape, like those types of things. Because growing up in Florida, it's like I took all those things for granted for so many years. Now I use them as like a care practice for myself, not as a means of escape. Like people, I would say, like, I live in a place where people vacation, like people like escape their lives to come on vacation here. And here I've lived here all of my life and took what could be healing properties for me, for granted. Because during my burnout, I would, when I started having high levels of stress, before it actually turned into burnout, when I was having high levels of stress, I would go to the beach and I would go out. I started gardening at when I was with my partner, when he and I had our home together. I started gardening. Like, I spent a lot of time out in nature. I was going to the beach and I was doing those things, and they helped, but I don't feel at the time, knowing what I know now, I wasn't using those opportunities to the best that I could have used them as a means of like really feeling them in my body, allowing the waves of the way that I do now, allowing the waves of the ocean to calm me, the cool breeze of the morning air to just, soften me as it flows against my skin, to allow the sand of the beach, even though it's under my shoes, just remind me that I'm grounded and I have a soft place to land if something fails. Just looking at the blue water, the green trees, the beautiful flowers, like all the things that are around me, just using them as a source of care. Like, I took all that for granted before, and that's what I'm doing now. And I started to notice that these things really do make me feel differently. Like, I feel a sense of calm. I feel a sense of rest. I feel a sense of restoration. I feel a sense of calm. I feel a sense of peace. It's almost like instant medication, like instant anxiety medication. And just knowing that we have access to this, like, for free, like just to go outside, you have access to it. And again, you might not live in a by the water or a coastal area, but I think this is an opportunity for you to notice how your environment makes you feel, and notice if there's areas in your environment that you have been taking for granted. Because I feel like so many times, especially as ambitious women, we're focused on, what we're going to achieve next, the goals we have for ourselves, the visions that we have for our lives. We focus on fixing any problems or issues we may have. We focus on discipline, motivation. We focus on the habits that we may have. And of course, we still may have those times where we just are in our mindsets of pushing through. But I feel like I've had to come to I've come to the revelation that you really do have to pay attention to where you are every single day. And where you are, meaning in multiple capacities, like where you're physically sitting, doing your work, where you're living, the home, the apartment, wherever you lay your head at night. Like, all of those environmental factors play a role in how we work and live. And I personally took that for granted. Like, you just don't think about it. And again, I've come to this realization after years of reflection, years of intentionality. After my burnout, of course, taking that year off, that time off, those 10 months, those greatly expedited the level of reflection and really focusing on the things that I actually needed and how I felt, and getting laser focused and just clear on how I wanted to work and live, that's what that time gave to me. And then post, my sabbatical, being back in corporate America, being in a place where I'm building a business, being in a place where I'm intentionally designing the life that I love, environment plays a huge role in that. If you want to believe it or not, your environment just plays a huge role with that. And it changed how I think about how I live and work. It changed how I move in my life, in my work. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation today. And again, today was like a real life practice in this, because the first part of the day was tough. And I've already shared with you that it is very difficult. Well, I wouldn't say very difficult. It requires a lot of effort for me to show up here every day. But again, I'm using these 100 days as a personal development practice and a visibility practice. So I still wanted to show up and talk about this, in real time, and even talk about like how I literally had a spiral of a morning and afternoon, early afternoon. But I went outside. I spent several hours outside, just in the greenery, just sitting, praying, listen to the Bible app, allowing the wind to just slowly breeze over my face. It's just a very beautiful day outside, and just sitting and being and allowing nature to just calm me and recharge me, because this morning was draining, girl. It was draining. It was very, very draining. And again, I'm having these 100 days of conversations because I don't want to show up here perfect. I don't want to show up here, beautifully edited, and all the things that I shared with you previously that was keeping me from showing up here. I just want to show up here and have real conversations, talk about some of the lessons that I've lived through, the things I have learned, the things I'm continuing to learn, things that I'm curious about, I want to have conversations about. And that's what I want to talk about. So showing up here today, doing like take two after a very mentally and emotionally draining morning. And I just really want the message to be clear that your environment is shaping the way you work and the way you live, if you're paying attention to it or not, if you're realizing it or not. So this is the opportunity that I want to invite you in to just really start becoming aware, paying attention to how your environment is making you feel, and maybe even seeing if where you live, there's areas that you might have been taken for granted that can provide you with some type of a care practice, or just with some type of care that you might have been taken for granted, like I had. And my energy is like really running low now, just after such and I feel like an emotionally charged morning. I did, like I said, spent several hours outside today, and that really felt good. But I can just really tell that I'm ready to end the day. I'm ready to wind down. So the first thing that I would say is to pay attention to how you actually feel in the environment that you're in. And then ask yourself, what's one small change you can make to help you feel better in that environment? Or think about what in the space could make you feel better. Again, I'm specifically talking about the external environment, but you can even think about it in your home, in your workplace, any place your environment is impacting you. All of those things in your home, in your workspace, even if you work from home, like your work environment, the leadership that you report to, the team members that you work with, your colleagues, the actual outdoors, the external, like where you live, the city that you live in, the landscape, the sceneries that you have access to. All of those things impact you. So I would just start paying attention to those things and see how they can support you as a care practice, support you in a means of giving something back to yourself, and support you as a method of recharge. And if where you are right now can't do that for you, try figuring out one way that you have control over, that you might be able to change to support that. Because it might not be that you need a completely different life. You might just need to be experiencing your environment a little bit differently. So, yeah, today was a day. Today was a day. And again, I could have just scrapped this morning's video, waited till tomorrow, recorded it, but I was like, nope, I'm going to show up here. I'm going to show up and let her know what happened and what I wanted to talk about, and just stay on topic and just show up here as authentic as I can. Because after these 100 days, and if you missed any of the conversations I've been having over the 100 days, I've listed the playlist down in the description box. But after the 100 days, I just don't know what this is going to turn into. I do know that I don't want to be a content creator. I don't want that pressure of all the things that stopped me from showing up here before. But I do want to continue to have conversations around ambition, capacity, rest, creativity, embodiment, identity, designing the life that you desire, and all of those things, like navigating corporate America, the ups and downs with that, building a business, like just all of the things, like truly designing the life that you actually want to live in, like you having the impact, of course, with God's, vision for you, but truly building that, truly trusting in His word and His timing and His promises. And that's something that I'm working towards every day, because, being ambitious and driven, we don't have no problems with going and get the things done. But when you are truly trying to live in the way that God has for you, you really have to wait on Him. You have to ask for His guidance. You have to have faith, which can be very hard for us who are used to executing and getting things done. It's really hard for us to wait. And again, it's something that I'm continuously working through. But God, like they say, but God. So I'll leave you here today. I'm Erica Prevail, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.